Well, hello, and welcome to Melissa's Crafting Treehouse and Paper Crafting with yours truly, Melissa Kerman. Tonight I have a very fun project for you. I'm actually going to show you and give you my method for how you can make 88 cards out of one pack of designer series paper. Now it's kind of an odd number. I'll explain it in just a bit, but this is a simple card, but really pretty because the designer paper is just gorgeous. And they're quick cards, great ideas for Christmas. So, and or a winter theme. Comment and say hello when you're joining in. I'd love to see who's out there and let me know where you're from. If you're new to Melissa's Crafting Treehouse, welcome. If you've been with me for a while, welcome back. So glad to have you here. So again, I've got a really cool project, simple and a great method for getting a lot of value out of your designer series paper pack. So got a few quick little announcements. Again, as you jump in, please say hello. Let's see, am I seeing comments? I'm not seeing comments yet. Would love to see your comments if you're here joining me. All right, so let's talk about a couple things that are going on today. So just as a quick little reminder, well, there's my desktop. You'll see that in just a minute. Let's see. Oh, hi, Lauralee. Yay, so glad to see you here. Okay, let's just show you a couple of quick things. If you're looking for me online, that's my web address, melissascraftingtreehouse.com. And one of the big things going on right now is I have Autumn Leaves class. The RSVP deadline is September 18th. So that's just, 4 days away or so. So if you're interested in that, please definitely check it out. I also have free PDF tutorials that I provide in my newsletter. And this card is one of the ones that I showed last week. The PDF tutorial for this card and two others that I made. You wouldn't have seen this last week, but I'm going to show it to you. I did it in a reel, so you might have seen it in Instagram reel. So two of the same basic layout, different designer papers. This one as well. This one features the Autumn Leaves bundle or suite of products. So anyway, this PDF tutorial was in the newsletter that went out yesterday. I'm going to include it in next Wednesday's newsletter as well, so that you have a second opportunity to see it if you're new to Melissa's Crafting Treehouse. So you will be able to get the PDF tutorial for those. And I will also be providing one for what I'm showing you today, at least some of the versions. So definitely subscribe to my newsletter if you are not already subscribed. And let me see who's joining in. Hi, Mary Beth. Hi, MJ. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Sharon. Yay, so glad to see you guys here. All right, let's just go ahead and dive right in. So what I'm featuring today is the One Horse Open Sleigh Designer Series paper. That's here. I'm going to show you all the pages. We're using the Snowflake Sky embossing folder and the Countryside corners dies. Now these coordinate with this stamp set. I'm not going to be using this stamp set today, but just wanted to show you so you know what it goes with. Now these dies, I looked up all the things I'm using today just to see what was going on. And this set of dies is on low inventory. So if you're interested in these dies and you don't already have them, now is a good time to jump on it and get them. So I've laid them out here in a particular way because I am not using these ones, these four, but I'm going to be using all three of these dies on today's card. Okay, so there's that. Let's take a look at this gorgeous designer series paper. Now this designer series paper, once again, it's called the One Horse Open Sleigh. It has a coordinating bundle. I don't actually have it. I just got the designer paper because I thought it was so pretty. And let's just take a quick look at it. This is an online exclusive set of designer papers. So you won't see it in any catalog anywhere. So I'm just going to run through these really quick. Now I'm going to tell you also, I have made cards with 11 out of the 12 panels of designer series paper here. So the last one didn't quite work for my design so well, but I figure I got 11 designs out of this designer paper. So I'm using pretty much all of it for my various projects. So here we go. I'm just going through. Oh, that's a really pretty one. I didn't even notice that one. How did I miss that one? Anyway, and this is the only one that I'm not using for my projects. Now, you're not going to see all of them today because I've kind of designed most of them, but not all of them. But I am going to show you some, and it's going to give you a really good idea of what you can do to make these cards and to maximize this paper if you have this paper. Now, basically, I'm going to do some quick little math for you, right? If we eliminate that and we have 11 pieces, there are 4 each of these patterns. So that means I've got 11 times 4, 44 pieces, and we're going to get cards, 2 cards out of each piece. So you can probably figure out the math there. So I've got 40, let's see, what did I say? 44 pieces times 2 is going to give you 88 cards that you can get out of this. And I have designs for all of these, which, yeah, so super fun and a great value. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you one of the cards. I'll show you a few more before we're done, and we're going to make a few as well. So this is the basic card. I've used a variety of different sentiments and sentiment sets. So this is just one of them. This one used one of the designer papers that was especially bold and big. So I felt like I needed a bigger sentiment. For some of the other ones, I needed smaller ones. I see more people joining in. Hello, Shelly. Hi, Jolene. Good to see you here. All right. And then we're also using the Snowflake Sky embossing folder as the background. So it's a super simple card. You could step it up if you want. I put some embellishments on there. I toyed around with ribbon. I'm going to show you some ideas for that. I liked it kind of just simple like this. And if you're going to make a whole bunch of them, like for Christmas cards, then it's really good if they're simple. All right, I'm going to pull in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I need my big beast because I'm using this large embossing folder. It doesn't fit in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I've got my base plate and my layer number 2, and it barely fits on screen here. And I've got just a piece of white cardstock that's 4 by 5 1/4. I'm just going to put that in there, and I'm going to just pick where I want it to be, and so that I get some of those nice big snowflakes at the top. And it sort of fades to more depth as we get down to the bottom with all these fine little dots. You'll see it when I finish doing the dry embossing. Oh, and I just realized I don't need that layer. Don't need layer number 2. Just the base plate and my blue plate on top, the embossing folder in between. Now, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you always want a layer on top of your embossing folder. Super, super important. I have had people mistakenly do the layering incorrectly and put this on top. And what it will do to your embossing folder, it will make it round. It will not be flat anymore if you do that. So you always want to have a protective layer over your embossing folder, and you always want the seam going in first if you can help it. It puts a lot of stress on the seam if you go the other way. And if you go sideways, you can kind of get away with that, but you just want to make sure this side doesn't rub against the edge. So there's a couple tips about dry embossing with your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. All right, so let's take a close look at this. And I know what you guys are seeing my belly up here. I'm standing up. So here is the dry emboss piece. Super pretty. I'm going to have it with the less dense pattern at the top of my card. So there's that. We got that taken care of. Now, when I'm going to pull in my little mini machine now, because it fits on camera a whole lot better, and I'm going to do some die cutting. All right, so here I've got my base plate, my 1, and then I've just got 2 of these cutting plates to put down. I'm going to make my sandwich, so I've got a little bit of a gap in here so that it's staggered a little bit, and that will help it to feed in. And then I'm going to actually try to cut these at the same time. I have not done that before, but if you're going to be if you're going to be making a lot of these, say you want to make 88 of them, I'm going to actually, let's do that. So you don't see my torso there. I'll switch it back in a second. It would be really nice if I can cut these at the same time, right? So now what I have done here, and I should show you this before I do my cutting, this piece is 3 inches wide. So it's half of a piece of my 6 by 6 paper. And this is actually the second half of this piece here. So you can see how it lines up there. And the only piece I'm not using is that little segment down at the bottom. So that's how, this is the second half. So I'm going to get 2 pieces out of each sheet there. And each design is going to be slightly different because, of course, this one looks really different with that big fat tree in the middle, the trunk, versus this one, which is a lot more subtle. Okay, so now this just happens to be a little bit wider. It doesn't have to be, but it is. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this die, and I'm going to find where I want this, okay? And I'm going to do it strategically. Now, if I turn this over, you'll see it fits right on there, right? It hangs off a little bit off the side, but the blade is covered on all sides, and that's what matters. So as long as the blade is covered, I'm good. If it's centered on this piece of 3-inch width, I'm good. So now what I want to do is, because I'm going to have early espresso in behind, I want to make sure that I have either an element of espresso on the bottom or some on the top. And because I really like this kind of green tree, I'm going to justify it sort of towards the bottom. So if you were doing this, I've positioned this die on my various designer papers in different places, up and down, based upon what I wanted to frame. So pretty straightforward. And then I'm going to go ahead and just put that down. And I just want to make sure that my die stays centered on my piece. Now, the other thing I'm going to do in deciding where I want it here is I'm going to go, okay, well, what size sentiment piece do I want? Do I want to do the smaller one or the bigger one? Those are these 2 dies here that I'm using. And I think for this one, I'm going to be using the smaller die because it's a very kind of subtle background pattern. And I'm probably going to want my sentiment right, maybe at the top. I'm going to sort of let this kind of frame the bottom, have the trees kind of be a little bit in the background. So that's kind of helping me decide where I want my die to be. So good to have a piece of die cut paper of the size you're going to use nearby so that you can figure that out easily. And then I'm actually going to put some washi tape on to hold it down in place so it doesn't move. Now, the other little trick that I do, if you're anything like me, your cutting plates are really like, they're real cut up and they've got paper in them and shape and everything. So I like to take a piece of just regular old printer paper and put it on top of my shape. And that just helps to prevent this texture from going onto what I'm cutting out. So now I'm just going to put that in and run it through. Now I'm crossing my fingers that it goes through both layers because that will be a really nice, handy thing if it does. If it doesn't, that's okay because I've got another one cut in case I need it. All right, so to take that off, you can see I've got a nice little pristine piece there. Oh, and it's gone through both layers. I'm so happy. The small pleasures in life, right? Okay, so let's just carefully pull off the washi tape. Don't want to tear the paper in the process. Set those aside. Hi, Jen. Hi, Barb. Good to see you joining us. Welcome. All right, so we're going to put all the rest of this aside. Done with our die cutting. And we successfully cut out both pieces at once. Yay, I'm so happy. So that means it's pretty much half as much work, especially if you're going to mass produce a bunch of these cards, which of course this designer paper really lends itself to. All right, so next up, let's go ahead and work on our sentiment. I'm going to bring in a piece of paper to work on. We got those. We got our dry embossed piece. And actually, I have another one that I'm going to finish. So this was just an experiment to see if I could actually do my die cutting at the same time. But I'm going to set those aside, and we're going to do a different one. So the piece of designer paper we're using here, I'm going to just show you where I cut it from. So it started like this. And then where's the other piece? This piece goes over here. So that's the whole piece to start with. And I trimmed out this piece right here. So you can see this is not quite centered, okay? So this was one of the few pieces, there were a couple of them, where I wasn't gonna, so that's actually, my math is wrong. Because on some of them, I'm not gonna get 2 out of the piece because I decided I needed to have it off center. So word to the wise, if you want to center it and get that full 88 out of your pack, great. And if you want to do it like I did and be picky about your positioning, then you'll get a few less. I intentionally wanted to show you this for that reason. I wasn't thinking about the math though at that point. All right, anyway, you get the idea. All right, so we got that piece. Now for this one, instead of using a white piece, I decided that this designer paper looked better with a dry embossed piece that was Pool Party, which is one of the colors that's in this designer paper. And I'm using a Lost Lagoon card base. Now, most of my designs are white, a white card base with a white dry embossed piece. This was one of the few that I decided needed to be a little bit different. All right, so next up, I'm going to stamp a sentiment. And I actually, let's see, I'm using my Pebbled Path ink, which again is one of the colors in this paper. And you'll notice on the back of your designer papers, in case you're not aware, all the colors that are in any given designer paper are listed on the back. So very handy. I use that all the time. All right, so I would recommend, now this one I'm using a different sentiment, that you stamp on your paper and then you die cut. This is an actually a pretty big sentiment for this size shape. So you, it's probably best to stamp and then die cut. All right, and I actually have done one off camera, so I've got one finished. All right, let's bring in my silicone craft mat. Now this sentiment here is from, I'll show you the sentiments now that I'm talking about sentiments. It's from the Magical Meadow set. So I just needed a sentiment that would fit on this small little piece here. And that one fits the bill, and it's nice and kind of subtle, goes well with my sort of more muted, subtle background, as opposed to the big fat tree, as I keep calling it. For the other cards, I used this sentiment, the one that's bold, the one I just showed you. And then I've also done some with this one, Winter Greetings, that fits on there. So you want to pull out your sentiment stash and see what fits if you're going to do this card. All right, so let's do some adhesive on the back. Now, I did experiment with my Lost Lagoon as an option for the sentiment color, but I decided that I like going with a little bit more of that Pebbled Path. So we're going to cover the back side with adhesive, and then we're going to do something a little bit fun. So on here, I just kept the sentiment simple. There's nothing in behind. There's no ribbon, nothing like that. But I decided to do something fun on this one. I was playing around with some ribbon. Now this does make it a little bit more complicated. I will say that. So if you want to keep it simple, you probably wouldn't want to do this step. But I couldn't help myself but show you guys this additional step. And I'm going to just show my face again over here. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. This ribbon is actually starts as twice as thick as this. Let me show you the real ribbon. This is part of the, I think it's the, I want to say Bright and Beautiful Suite. I'm forgetting what it's called. This is the, what is it called? Iridescent ribbon. It's all these different languages on the back. And but this is how it starts. White iridescent ribbon, really pretty. I decided I wanted to try it thinner and I might try to make a bow, which I did. Didn't really like how the bow looked. So I started playing around with the fibers. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Again, this makes it a lot more complicated. So just beware. You want to keep it simpler, don't do this. You can see you can pull out the fibers from the ribbon. Once you've cut it down the center, those fibers are just kind of hanging out there and you can pull them out. You can see you get this nice little fray in here as well. So I'm going to pull these out. Now it's very important you put your adhesive back here on the back side first. It doesn't look like the back side, but it is the back side. Because once you start pulling these out, you start messing with this, these lovely little filaments. they're a little bit hard to control. So you want to have some adhesive to stick it down. Do you see all those pretty little shimmery elements in there? Okay, so we're just going to pull that out. And you can see I've got this nice little frayed this element I could use on something too. I think it's really cool. So I'm going to actually leave it attached to the end there. It'll help it stay in a little bit more control. And I'm going to wrap it around my fingers like so. Okay. Is that how I want it? Is that how big I want it? Let's see how it's going to hang off the edge, if it's enough length. I think it's probably enough length. Okay. So we're going to pinch it in the middle and twist. Okay. Just kind of creating a little twist in the center, holding on to it. Now I'm trying to visualize how this is going to go. And I think I want my little tails down at the bottom. Okay. And then I'm just going to tack it down. I come up here so you guys can really see what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to pull that out. And then I've got this fun little sparkly, kind of crazy little element here in behind. And if I want some of them sticking straight out on the top, I can let those hang out and just trim it off. And these colors, I think, look really pretty with this, this particular designer paper I'm working with here. So you can kind of see it's going to be kind of a sparkly little jumble of mess. Okay, and then here's the back side. So you can mess with it as much or as little as you want, see how you like it. But again, this adds a little complexity to this really simple card. So you can decide if you want to add that complexity or if you want to keep it simple. Okay, crazy. And I'm going to trim those off once we get this in place. All right, let's attach these other pieces together. Do the simple part. Does anybody have this designer paper or have you seen it? Hi, Robin. Good to see you here. Hi, Donna, Cindy. So good to see people joining in. Hi, Julia. Yay. I'm looking down at my workspace and I miss your comments. I'm so glad you shared the video with your friend, Cindy. Wonderful. I assume that's what you mean. And yes, do please share. Share this video. Like my page. Follow me. All those good things. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. All those things help keep me doing this thing that I love. All right. So we're going to go ahead and put some adhesive on the back side. Oh my gosh. I love that one. Now I could probably do that too, actually, if I wanted to. Oh, now she has a dilemma. That's kind of pretty, isn't it? Those trees. I might have to do one with the trees on another card. Oh, so tempting. The sentiment kind of blends in a little bit more, but I think that's awfully pretty as well. I might have to play with those layers if I do that, though. All right, let's just stick with what I got. Anybody else love this pattern that I'm going to be covering up here? These lovely trees. Okay, we got that one. It's always nice to have your silicone craft mat out, especially when you have adhesive on something and you haven't yet attached it down, because you can put it down there and you know that it's not going to stick to your work surface. And if you're not familiar with the Stampin' Seal, the only little nitpicky thing about it is the adhesive will sometimes retract in. And I keep doing this, as you might see, because it pulls the adhesive forward so that I can start working with it again on my paper. So there's that. Okay, so let's get my positioning of these two pieces. I'm going to just lay it out here. And decide how I want it to be. Now I could also, instead of doing the solid color at the top, I could do it at the bottom if I wanted. But let's just get my pieces here. I did not press it down yet, and that's on purpose so that I'll be able to reposition things if I want to. You can also show more or less of the colored part, depending on your taste. And I'm just going to go with that. And now I am going to need a little bit more adhesive on the back side here. And let's see, I'll just do a little bit more. I just have to show you the back side because you can really see all that crazy fun sparkle on there. I think it's so fun. And let's just go ahead and place it down. You could also put that on the bottom if you wanted, choosing to put it on the top. And then I'm just going to grab my scissors and snip off those little tails at different lengths. I like to do that. And they're kind of, this might be a little bit longer than I want. But I do want them to stay different lengths. You see they're kind of poking up. Anyway, there you go. That's that. And then I'm going to add a few iridescent rhinestone jewels. So we'll just add a few of these in here. And where do I want to put them? Let's see. I think I'm going to just do a couple down here at the bottom. And maybe one up here. I don't know. What do we think of that? I always have to toy around with my embellishments to see where they should go. And I honestly think I was planning to put that down at the bottom in my mind. So it ended up at the top. It could go either way. What do you guys think? Do those embellishments work? I also have some other embellishments. I love these iridescent pearls, really nice and subtle. I thought the iridescent rhinestones would look really nice with that shimmery little element there of texture. I'm just going to go with that. Oh, you're really liking this card, Cindy? I'm so glad. Yay. Love to hear that. Okay, so we're going to do one more. And this one is really different. It is the white. I am using a white card base, but I'm going to be using a different ribbon. And I decided again to do the fiber on it. So here we go. The piece of designer paper started out like, let's put it on here. I think it's this. I think I have that right. Yes. You can see the continuous tree up there at the top. So this is a pretty subtle one. And the piece I cut out is right there with the little fox. So it's probably one of the most subtle pieces in the set. And I've put adhesive on these just to make it go fast. So we wouldn't be doing that part again. All right, so let's put this together pretty quick. So I've got my white card base, 4 1/4 by 11. I've got my white dry embossed snowflake piece. And then for this one, I decided to use crumb cake for the layer in behind. And let's go ahead and put this on here. It's got adhesive on it, so I can put it on my silicone craft mat again. Get it in place. Should I have that at the bottom? Should I have it at the top? Maybe I should have it at the bottom. I'll try it at the bottom this time. But I want to show a little bit of the paper up here and down here. So I think that's what I'll go with. There's my card. Hi, Jan. Good to see you here. Hi, Carol. I'm so glad you remembered before I was finished that you're here joining us live. You believe the embellishment should always draw your eyes to the sentiment. Okay, now I'm going to have to look at it again, see whether I need to tweak that a little bit with that thought in mind. Appreciate your chiming in. Okay, so I'm going to put that in the upper left-hand corner. I think we'll do that. Hold it down there for a second. Now I have heat embossed this sentiment. This is the one that was from the oh, what you call magical meadow set. So I'm using, oh no, I have the wrong, this one. Sparkling Snowflakes. I used the Winter Greetings from there. It's the only stamp I've used out of this set yet. I have to play with it because I love these snowflakes. And another play session. Anyway, I have adhesive on the back of this because I have a plan for more fiber in behind. I love texture. So what I've done here is I've grabbed a piece of this ribbon. This is the textured ribbon in the copper clay. It's so pretty. I love this ribbon. I love the color. So rich, very fall-like, but of course in this case it's going to be different. So now I have cut it down the middle again, and I'm pulling some fibers out. So, and maybe I'll take that away so you can see the fibers. I've got 3 little fibers pulled out so far, and I'm just going to pull out another few. I tried using some ribbon just the old-fashioned way, you know, like a bow or something, or even folding it over, just a variety of different things. And I just felt on all of them that it was too much. Okay, I'm having trouble getting this to come out now. Do I need another fiber? There we go. And we'll stop there. So again, I've got my adhesive on the back of that. So we're just going to wrap it around my fingers like that. And then I'm going to twist. It's not an exact thing. So there I've like created a figure 8. And then we'll just lay it down in behind. And what I was really trying to do there is kind of tie into the color of the little fox without it being too strong or pulling your attention away from the fox too much. So there's that. I kind of wanted more of the little ends showing. Less loops, more ends. But, oop, my ends all disappeared in underneath. I could always cut some. All right, we're just going to go with it. I don't know. Don't know how much I love it. It's too much. Thoughts? Yes, the patience to deal with the fibers. It's true. Yes. So this is just an idea. Again, like I said, it does make it much more work and more complicated. And in this case, I don't even like it. Just being honest. Let's see if I can do it in a more subtle way. Or maybe I should do, okay, I have another idea. I'm going to shorten it because I'm thinking what I really want is just a little bit, just the end sticking out. Let's see if that works. I'm going to put it down on there. If we like it, great. If we don't, we'll just pull it off and be without it. Let's trim this off. And of course, they're all now the same length. Didn't want that. Trying to get that little bit of color in there without it. It's just too much. I don't know. Wrapping around the sentiment. Yes, that's an interesting thought. I don't know. I think I'm giving up. Goodbye, fiber. We're just going to go like this. We're just going to keep it simple. Sometimes that just, you know, it's just the way to go. Okay, so now let's grab an embellishment. I think these white pearls are going to be the right thing to use, something super subtle. I don't think I have anything subtle enough that brings this color in. That was really my goal with this. So let's just see where we should put these babies. And now I'm thinking about, I think it was Jennifer's comment about something about highlighting the sentiment. with the embellishment. Let's see if we can do something that looks good here. I'm kind of okay with that. I don't know. Maybe one more down at the bottom. I usually like to have an odd number, but how about that? That's what I got. Okay, that's what we're going with, because that's what we're going with. So there's the two I just made, and there's the one that I showed at the beginning. Oh, my little embellishment's falling off here. I didn't really press it down. Maybe this one would be up. No, it's too crowded up there. I think I just have to stick with it where it is. Yeah. So there you go. Okay, so I have a few others that I finished and I want to show you. So, and let's just take them off this white paper here. We're in the home stretch there. So there's another one. These on camera yet. And that one. So I've got 5 done so far. The other ones are sitting over on my table. So here's this one. I used some of these tinsel gems. This color is Misty Moonlight, which is one of the colors that's in this, and super simple, right? And this one used the iridescent gems and a big sentiment. Now I used vellum here, and I kind of got fancy with the sentiment, although I'm not sure it really adds that much to it. I heat embossed in the espresso. I don't know if you can see it shiny, onto the vellum, and then I put white in behind so it would actually show up. I do like the way it looks, but I don't know that it adds enough to make it worth the extra work. So just saying, you want to keep it simple. So there you go. There are the 5. Now, these pieces are the other halves of what I used here. I'm sure, which way does it go? Yeah, this side, you can see how it's continuous there. And then here, this one is that side. So when I do the PDF, I'm going to include some photos of what segment of the piece of designer paper I used. So that might help people with their placement, but it's pretty straightforward. So I hope you guys enjoyed these. They're super simple to make, especially if you don't add the fiber in. And just a lot of fun. This one's on dimensionals, the sentiment here. These are all flat on, but this one is on dimensionals also. And other than that, there's no dimensionals in there at all. So there you go. Super fun, right? So again, this is the One Horse Open Sleigh Designer Series paper. It's an online exclusive item, so you won't be able to find it in any catalog. So you'll want to keep that in mind. Just want to look that up in the online store. And don't forget, if you don't have these Countryside Corners dies, this is on low inventory. So if you want it, you should get it as soon as possible. And that is really true with anything in the catalog. And again, okay, so let's just bring those in. So this one is the Wishing You a Very Merry Christmas, same here. And then the winter greetings here and here. And then the one that I did today was from Magical Meadow. May the season of sparkle bring joy and delight. So those are all the things that I've used today. Okay. I'm going to just flip me over and show my face for a sec before we finish up. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. You're inspired to create. More often than not, I'm doing something a little bit inky and messy and not nearly as this simple, but sometimes it's just so fun to have a simple project you can make a lot of, and kick a bunch of cards out really fast. Great for Christmas cards. Of course, they could be winter themed as well, not just Christmas. But if you're trying to make your own Christmas cards, I think this is a great option. And remember, I lied a little bit about that number. It's not actually 88 because there were 2 of the patterns where I only got 1 out of each sheet. But if you want to be smart and not so picky, you could get the 88 out of it if you're not particular about exactly where you place the die when you cut it out. So very good. Just taking a look at people's comments. Let's see. Regular stamp is nice. That's good. Easy to do. Yes. Oh, Robin, I'm so glad you have the designer paper and the countryside dies. You're all set to go. Yes, I'm glad you guys liked it. And of course, because you can die cut the designer paper and the cardstock at the same time, half as much work. Don't forget that little tip. That's an important one. All right. So again, let me just remind you. Oh yeah, I left that banner up there, the Autumn Leaves class. RSVP deadline is September 18th. Didn't mean to leave it up there that whole time. If you're looking for me, this is my website, melissascraftingtreehouse.com. And if you plan to order through me, there is the current host code. If you're going to order more than $150 or more, do not use the host code because you'll get Stampin' Rewards from Stampin' Up and you'll get perks from me. But if your order is less than 150, you definitely want to use the host code. You'll get perks from me for ordering with it. Now, when people order at any level, they also get a free tutorial bundle from me. I send you an email. The free tutorial bundle for this month is actually which one was it? Oh gosh, I got myself confused. I was jumping ahead. It's actually, this was the card that I did for, let's flip me over. This is the current tutorial bundle theme is Le Shop. And this is the layout that I used for these cards, the tutorial, which was the free PDF tutorial, which was shared yesterday in my newsletter and will be in next week's newsletter. And again, don't forget that the Autumn Leaves class RSVP deadline is the 18th, 4 more days if you're at all interested. There may be a slightly longer time frame for getting your kit in the mail only because some of the products in that suite are on back order. And so I'm not able to order them quite yet. So I have some for the people that have signed up. But if new people sign up, then you might have to wait a little longer. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's project and you're inspired to go create. And I will be next live on Facebook in 2 weeks. I'm not going to be live next week. I've got other commitments next Thursday. But I'll be back in 2 weeks with another fun project. All right, everybody, I'm going to sign off, let you go off on your evening, and happy crafting. And thanks for joining in. And again, don't forget to share, like, follow, all those things, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Good night, everyone. Oh, yes, Jolene, I'm going to see you at the class on Friday. Wonderful. Next Friday, that is. Not tomorrow, next Friday, the 22nd. All right. Good night.